Good afternoon and welcome back to the workbench. Today I'm just taking a quick look at this little dash camera here. Just some sort of generic no-name thing. It doesn't have a brand or a model or anything printed on it. It's one a friend of mine gave to me. I think he used it for a bit and then it stopped working properly, so he gave it to me. He said it works fine off USB if you plug it into that. But running off the battery, well, it doesn't work. And seeing as it's a dash cam and it's probably seen, quite hot weather and sun, on it and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised if the battery has just failed because it's just been too hot or something like that. I think Big Clive did one on one of his own dash cams where he replaced the battery because it had failed just from extreme temperatures or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a similar problem with this one. Okay, so let's come a bit closer and have a look at this thing. So before I do anything else with it, I just want to mention getting it apart, which I have actually opened it previously. It was a little bit trickier than I expected at the first. And you can see where I've actually broken the this corner off when I was trying to lever the thing apart, because I thought that it was stuck together with clips or with glue or something, which was kind of fair enough, because this thing has no obvious screws and no apparent obvious way that it actually comes to bits. But it turns out that this clear plastic, this panel here is actually clear plastic, and it sits down, glues down on top of the rest of this back half of the case, and it actually, you can lift it up on the edges with a razor blade. It's actually a separate piece, but it was put together so nicely it doesn't even look like it is a separate thing, and I just assumed it was all one moulding and that there'd be clips around the edges or something. But no, there's actually 4 screws in these corners, so yeah, don't do what I did and just try and rip it off. That will probably just break something. Just lift the edges of this up and do it that way. Yeah, anyway, hopefully I can just glue that back on and it won't look so bad, but in any case, I mean, it doesn't really matter. As long as the camera works and everything, it is kind of irrelevant. But there we go. Anyway, so yeah, after you take the screws out and everything, it just comes up like that, and you can take the back off the same way, and you get access to the LCD under there and everything. I won't take it off right now because I want to do a quick little test with it now that I've managed to get this thing to fall apart. Hang on. Let's see. Okay. Now, I just want to plug this in. I've got a little USB thing. If I just put this around the right way. So this is just coming from a standard power adapter. So we've got 5 volts in here, and if I plug this into here, it will switch on. As you can see, it's upside down, but whatever. So it comes up, and you can see it does work, and everything is fine. I was taking about 300 milliamps, like that. Now, if I turn this off, you can see it's still. Let's see, is there a charging light? Yeah, there's a charging light there. So it's charging now, but we only get 30 milliamps there. That seems kind of low, but I want to keep this as a reference for afterwards when I have finished swapping the battery out, because that's what I'm going to do. So I'll unplug this now. Just get this out of the way. So yeah, I've got a new battery here, which I just bought off eBay. So I'll pull this thing apart again. Let's see. So this piece comes off there, so it's just like that. The camera is a separate little thing connected with a ribbon cable, and we can see the batteries here, and you can actually see it's pretty small. It's very thin as well. It looks like it's about, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 millimeters, and it's about 15 millimeters square. It's very small. So I don't know what the capacity of this is, but it does not look like it would be very much. The back half comes off like this, and there's the screen, so you can see in all the buttons, but you don't need to take that side off at all. Just for taking screws out, you can leave that in general, because there are a couple of screws that go into the frame here that hold the hold the thing together, so you may or may not need to take those out depending on what you're doing with it. But yeah, so this little battery here, there's no marking on it, there's no stamp, no capacity thing, just this double-sided tape stuff stuck on it. So I have no idea what the capacity of that is, or what it's supposed to be, or anything, so I can't really test it. Again, going by the size, I'm not going to guess it's very much. But I measured the area in here and had a look at what would fit, and I found on eBay I was able to get this cell here, which is actually marked with actual markings. Whether they're genuine or not, I don't know. So that says 450 milliamps, if this thing would focus. Anyway, it's marked 50, 30, 30, so it's 5 millimeters thick, and it's 30 millimeters square. That's including the little circuit on the end as well. So anyway, that's 450 milliamps. Now if we imagine this here, it's a lot smaller, it's a lot thinner. The thickness definitely seems to increase the capacity quite a bit, so for the same area square, a thicker battery seems to be significantly higher capacity. And when I looked up ones of this similar sort of area on eBay, they were about 100 milliamps or less actually. So yeah, so if that's the case, this battery here is actually something like that. It's not particularly useful anyway, even if it was working, so I imagine it's not particularly good. Actually, I guess it's worth showing that it does power up on battery, so it does come up, but the display does flicker, and it says battery low, and it doesn't really run for very long. It just switches straight off again. So yeah, the battery is basically completely flat at this point, obviously, and according to my friend, trying to charge it doesn't actually do anything, and we saw on the meter that it was taking 30 milliamps, or approximately that. So let's bring in a multimeter here, and I just want to see what the story is with the actual voltage. In its standard state, it's 3.8 volts. That seems a little bit high for a battery that apparently has no runtime. If I turn it on, just want to see what we get. It's going down to 3.1, down to 3. So you can see the voltage drop significantly with a load on it, which is not particularly good. Goes to 2.9. You can see I don't know if you can see that there. Those little LEDs are actually flickering quite a lot. Obviously the thing is not working very well at all. 2.8. The battery voltage is going down very quickly. It's still actually on, but yeah, the voltage is dropping pretty fast. It looks like it's turned off again now. Yeah, so what I want to do is plug it in here. Let's plug it in again. I'm going to turn it off, but it should be charging now, or at least trying to. Check the voltage here, we get 4.2 volts, so it's trying to charge to that, which makes perfect sense. So it looks like the charging circuit is working. It looks like, yeah, if there's any failure here, it's most likely on the part of the battery itself. So yeah, we can just desolder that and get rid of it. Although, because this does have power on it, I don't really want to get my soldering iron directly on the wires there. So what I'm going to do is actually cut them and then desolder the rest. So just an important thing to note with this, if you are cutting wires like this, don't cut them both at once, because if you cut these both at once, they'll actually be shorted together by the thing you're cutting them with. So it makes more sense to cut them individually. Sorry, that's not really in the camera, but you know, there we go. So we can get rid of that. That's not particularly good. So yeah, so I have this little sort of double-sided tape stuff here which holds on the speaker, and it's got that there, but we can pull that off. It's not really necessary. It just takes up too much space that they could actually have put a larger battery in, which this one here, for example, fits a lot nicer. It fits in there like that. It's not sticking out the top. This is a 5mm one, so that's about, I think, as thick as you can get in this thing. I could have gone for 6mm, but I wasn't entirely sure it would actually fit. It might do, I don't know, if you've got some already you can experiment with, go ahead, but I think 5 might be the limit. So there's 30 by 30, maybe you could get away with 30 by 35 and have it a little bit taller, maybe a little bit wider if you wanted to move the speaker or something and cram in a little bit of space here next to these crystals. I don't know, but yeah, this basic one here, 5 by 30 by 30 seems to fit pretty well. So anyway, now that I've taken that off, just make sure we remember which wire is which. So the black one is here on that ground plane there, obviously, and the red one is on its own separate pad, which goes off to the charging circuitry and all that. So that all makes logical sense. So anyway, just desolder these wires. Can I get this on the camera? Kind of hard to do, but I mean, should be fairly obvious. Just melting those there. So now I'm going to put on some decent solder. This looks like some kind of lead-free thing. So I'm going to put some leaded solder on there, and I'll suck that a bit to get rid of the don't know if there's actually any holes in those pads or if it's just a plain pad. I can't tell. I think there might be a hole there. But anyway, there we go. So I got the new battery. Now I don't know if this is going to be charged or not. It probably isn't. So anyway, they've taped the wires down there, which is nice. They have individually taped those apart to make sure there's nothing shorted out, which is good. Can't remember the seller I got this from. I just went for the the cheapest one that had this particular size that I wanted, which may or may not be the best strategy, but hey, this thing is for sure has to be more capacity than that one, even if it is a cheap one. So yeah, let's pull that off here. What have we got? So they've actually that's nice. They've already pre-stripped that. Will this thing focus? It did just a second ago. Yeah, anyway, you can see that it's already pre-stripped, so that's nice. I might tin this. I don't think it was tinned. There we go. That's not too bad. Saying that, it's not too good either. Okay, I'm actually heating this up and pushed it through the hole, so yeah. That's a much better connection. Okay, so we got that one done. And then we just got to do the same for the other one. So now the fun part here is trying not to short anything out. So that we don't have a an exploding battery. Actually, let's have a look and see. Let's have a look and see what voltage this has on it. Just as it is. So that is. Let's see. 3 volts. So that is. Oh no, 3.3. Okay, so it's about like, yeah, it's low, but it's not completely flat or anything. Let's just push that slightly into here. That should be correct. Let's just make sure we reflow that. We got a good good connection there. That looks all right. Okay, and then I'm just going to well, I think with the length of the wires, I'm going to have to just put the battery like that there. That's okay. Can't really put it around the other way, can I? No. Unless I put it this way. No. Because it'll have to go like this. Okay, so just as a quick... It's a quick little thing. Let's just see if it turns on. It does. So that's good. So that battery is working. Just turn that off again. Okay, so we got that connected up. So that's good. Now I need to put this back in the box. Okay, so this one goes... Let's see, which way around did this go? I can't remember. Oh yes, there we go. I think it goes that way. I believe. I believe it comes up through the bottom. Does it? I think so. There we go. Yeah, just make sure the little button for this, you got to push that in the right place and make sure this USB port clips in. So anyway, let's just stick this back together now. So I got this back half here. Goes like that. And now got this bit there. Goes on there like that. So just for a quick test. So that does fit together nicely. There's nothing sticking up there. So there is actually space there, and I can kind of squeeze that a little bit. So yeah, 6mm one might fit, but 5 is probably best, I think. So let's plug this back in. Let's just get that one out of the way. So we have this back here. Let me see. Let's turn that on. So if I plug this in now, again it comes on. We have 450 milliamps draw, and if I turn it off, we we see the draw has actually dropped to 200 milliamps. So now it's charging at 200, which is interesting because that's a heck of a lot more than this had. Which I guess goes to show that this here is quite likely faulty. Probably gone high resistance inside just from, maybe just overheating or some other problem. I mean, it could be, I guess, that this protection circuit here has gone faulty in some way, but it seems more likely that the cell itself has probably failed due to high temperature, or possibly even, well, shouldn't be overcharging or anything because it does have the protection circuit and it seemed like a fairly decent circuit in here, so I can't imagine that would be a problem. But yeah, there we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this thing back together again properly. I've got to clean the screen and everything because I've got fingerprints all over that now, but that's not particularly interesting. Just take some standard like screen cleaner stuff, and I need obviously something to secure that battery there so it doesn't go flying around. I shall in fact have to secure that. Now I don't have any double-sided tape, I don't think, so I have to come up with something else, not entirely sure what at the moment. Hot glue is kind of the obvious choice, but I don't think hot glue and lithium batteries is a good mixture, so I won't be doing that, but I'll find something. So there we go. Probably just get some have to find some sticky foam or something somewhere, or maybe just take some duct tape or something and just tape it over the top. In fact, that might be the best idea. I think I might, I could put some tape underneath this just to make sure there's no nothing rough under there for it to sit on, just to make everything nice and smooth, and then just put another piece of tape over the top. That's probably the best option. I'll do that, but there we go. Yeah, so interesting. Charging current is now a lot higher, and on that one it was only 30 milliamps. So that's 6 times the charge current basically. So yeah, I would just say that's probably gone high resistance and just is not working. The battery has just failed. So yeah, so that's it for that one. It's just a swap of a battery, not particularly complicated. Like I said, you can buy these on eBay just about anywhere. That's about it. Obviously it's just really just to be careful when you're soldering these in. Make sure you don't short anything out, or you could cause a problem. Be careful and keep the wires short, and like I said, when you're cutting the old one out or something or whatever, don't cut both wires at once or you'll short them together with the cutters, even momentarily, but it's still not a good idea, just not something you should do. But yeah, I guess I'll leave this thing to charge and see how good it goes, and see how the battery life is. I mean, I'd love to have tested it with this one, but obviously this one doesn't work, but hopefully should be at least 4 times the battery life of this one. There we go. Hopefully that was interesting, hopefully that was useful. I'll see you next time. And there's my tape up job for this thing here to secure it down. So that secures it pretty well, it doesn't really move. I put down a little square of tape underneath it to make sure it wasn't being pushed down on anything spiky, like a component or anything. You don't want to puncture these things. Then I put some bits of tape over the top. 3 there, one on this side, one this side, one at the top there. Wraps around a little bit at the bottom. Not really the best thing. I mean, this is going to keep more heat in, so the battery may, not last as long like this. It's going to be sort of thermally deficient for this kind of application, but I don't have any double-sided tape or anything to actually test this with, so for now I'll test it with this, and if it works well I'll probably take this tape off and get some other stuff and stick it on just with that later. I just don't have any at the moment, but I wouldn't advise putting a whole lot of tape like this over the top, because it'll probably increase the temperature, and that's not a good thing. But yeah, anyway, so that's that. It does seem to work alright.